Hello and welcome to I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit, a show where we discuss movies from our childhood, our nostalgia from watching them as kids, how they got made, and our experiences rewatching them as adults. I am one of your hosts, Nick Warner, and joining me as always, Matthew Pelton.
Dude, you stole my bit. The way I was.
Were you actually going to do that?
For the last hour, I've been planning on doing
No
at the
way.
End of, dude, a right hand to God.
No
I
way.
had a whole thing prepared.
Okay.
My God.
In all honesty, I was going to do the entire intro in song, in
Dude,
like Jack
why didn't
Skellington
you?
song, because, okay, here's the thing. This episode is unique because it's one of the only episodes, if not the only, I know it's probably the first and only.
Wow. That's how you define only, yes.
Right. That has crossover with the show that inspired the show, which
That's true.
is Blank Check.
Yes.
Because they did a whole episode on this, and that's how their show starts. So I was like, I'm not going to sing.
Oh,
I can't do song, but it's very funny. So before we even dive into this episode, I want to recommend checking out Blank Check's episode on the movie we're covering today.
Yeah, we love them. We always talk about them.
They're the best. The 1993 classic, cult classic, for the first time really ever on this show, actual genuine cult classic.
That's true.
I always say it, but The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, happy Halloween, dude.
Happy Halloween. This is our Halloween episode. We don't have a guest this week for this exact reason.
It's
I wanted
just
to
us.
just have it just be me and you, and
It feels right. It feels spookier like that. You know what I mean?
Just talk Nightmare Before Christmas. And also, we're making history on the show because this is the first time that we've actually sat down in a theater to watch one of the movies.
Together.
And also together.
Yeah, we've
Both.
never watched a Greenlit movie together.
Purposefully.
Which I didn't realize until you pointed it out in the theater.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, wait, that's
We were
true.
sitting
Like,
for
we've never done that.
trailers, and I was like...
Yeah, because I remember like when we did season 1, once a week hearing the movie play through the wall. Like you were watching like Sharp
Yeah,
Wolf and
yeah,
Alpha Girl,
yeah, yeah.
and like 20 minutes later you would hear me put it on. So,
Right.
like it was so cute how we did it. You're right, we've never sat down to do it.
No.
But for spooky season, we showed up.
We had to. Well, because it was also playing in the AMC.
Yeah, 30th
So,
anniversary, which
it
is pretty
great
cool.
and perfect timing for the show.
It was
It's incredible.
And I will point out, it is the Halloween episode, and I think, personally, it's way spookier just the two of us, because I think everyone knows how afraid I am to be in a room alone with you. You know what I
me
mean?
too.
Like, I much prefer a guest, so...
No, honestly, I'm afraid to be in a room with myself sometimes. It's
Okay,
a little
well,
scary.
let's break that.
I'm
That's
kidding,
a
I'm
different
kidding,
show.
I'm
We're going to
kidding.
break that down. That's not Greenlit.
Okay. Let's just start off right off the bat. I think this is probably the most well-known movie that we've ever covered.
Yeah.
Purely
probably.
just because of Hot
Well,
Topic.
There's Hop.
Well, there's Hop.
Let's not
sure.
rag on Hop.
No, but because of the staying power and it being an actual genuine cult classic, Hot Topic is a big
Yeah,
thing
that's
with this
true.
movie.
The
creating
merch for this
fanfare.
movie alone
Yeah,
is
it's
insane.
So there's a lot of history being made on the show. This is our first ever, like, aside from like the summer sessions as a show, this is like the first ever like special episode that we have. And
Yeah,
we're getting into it. I'm so excited. This is also
We're breaking down
maybe-
boundaries, man.
Exactly. Maybe the shortest movie we've watched.
It's
Like
I know
72 minutes.
Yeah, it might be. I know a lot of the movies we watch in the show are pretty short because they're mostly
Yeah.
kids movies, but 72 is very short.
We have one coming up that's 25 minutes, but we'll
What?
get into that when the time comes.
Wait, I'm confused.
Thanksgiving episode.
I got it.
Yeah. But so starting off, do you have any childhood stories surrounding this?
Okay,
what's
so
your history with this movie?
When you picked Nightmare Before Christmas for the Halloween episode,
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed only because
Okay.
I have no connection to this movie at all.
Okay.
I think the first time I watched it was like sophomore year of Emerson. It's
Okay.
like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I just never.
Although you
I don't
can
know why,
argue,
but-
you can argue that's nostalgia because you know when that was? That was Halloween when we watched it together.
Is that true?
Yeah.
My first time was with you.
Yeah.
We'll take that clip out of
'Cause
context. That's awesome.
I was gonna say that was the last time I watched it. Besides when we just saw it in
Oh,
theaters.
so
the
your
last
last time was
two
my first
times I've seen this movie was with you.
The only 2 times I've seen this movie is with you.
Dude, we are breaking down walls on this show right now. This is incredible.
Dude, this is what friendship looks like.
Yeah,
this is what
honestly,
a bromance
yeah,
looks
yeah.
like right here.
But I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Same. I
Wait,
don't really
what?
have okay. Well, I
Why'd you pick
I
it?
kind of have childhood stories because I as a kid, I think to be fair, I think I saw it as a kid. I definitely saw it as a kid.
Okay.
I have no recollection of it as a kid though.
But you know at one point you viewed this movie.
I viewed this movie, but I think I was too scared of it because it was like in that like Coraline stop motion.
Yeah.
Like I was not a fan of any of that.
Okay,
I
fair.
was always a really scared kid just in general. Like
Was?
going up to still am.
Yeah.
Very much so. It's crazy. But watching this movie and kind of in that context, I think I just kind of blocked it out. It was the same with like Monster House, Coraline, like any of that stuff. Like I was like, I'm good.
Two movies on our list, by the way, Monster House and Coraline.
Right, and Pan's Labyrinth. It's just so many horror movies that are definitely on the list that I can't even fathom revisiting. And this one, luckily, it was a musical, so I was like, okay, this is great. It'll help. And then I realized sophomore year that I'm in love with this movie. So, I mean, spoiler alert, but I'm such a fan. And I think because this is our Halloween episode, I'm just going to come right off the bat and just say that I like this movie, and we'll get into why. And this is just
fair.
This is it.
Now, I have immediately a question for you, because you're Mr. Disney.
Sure.
And I know you don't do horror at all. There's a horror, like, it's rare.
In the past couple years I have.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because I remember back, especially when we like first became friends, and we had that beautiful AMC A-list thing where you get 3 free movies a week.
Yeah, no, horror in theaters is not my thing.
You will not do it.
No.
Yeah, like every time, like, hey, Nick.
No, absolutely. Exorcist,
nope. Dude,
yeah.
I was about to bring it up, like, that's a new Exorcist movie. It's supposed to be so bad.
Yeah.
I just want to watch it to laugh.
Absolutely not. Never. I love you to death. I will never see those movies.
So, okay, wait, here's my question. How do you do with stuff like Haunted Mansion and like Tower of Terror, like the rides?
Oh, no.
You're cool.
Because that's Disneyfied. It's
true.
Like haunted houses in person. That day that we watched it the first time, we went to Salem. That was coming off on Halloween.
That's true.
I did not enjoy going into that haunted house we went into. I was so upset by the end of it. I was like, I am so not a fan of this.
So this is just not.
And
your thing.
I don't like really genuinely spooky experiences.
So
like
you
Halloween
like the
Horror
fun,
Nights. Yeah.
Goofy stuff.
Like the Oogie Boogie Bash, which is in California. That's the thing. Like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween.
Fair.
It's in the name. It's not so scary. Like, I'm good with the Disneyfied version of Halloween.
The thing that's meant for like the 4-year-old kids.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten over that. I'm still in that phase of my life right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, and starting sophomore year, and I said this to you, but I want to bring it up for the show. I wanted to make Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween tradition.
Yeah, you did.
And every year from then on, I wanted to watch it on Halloween or in just the context of Halloween. So I have a couple movies for every like holiday.
Spooky season.
Yeah. Spooky season. It was gonna be that, and then I think it was It's a Wonderful Life is my Christmas movie. I've been watching that like every year, just like around that time.
I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life.
It's incredible. I love it so much. And there's also like they have the black and white version and the like colorized version on whatever it is, Amazon Prime.
Which one do you prefer?
The black and white. It's so much better.
That's so boring.
Yeah, but
as someone who's never seen it, I say that.
But so we watched it that first year, sophomore year, and then junior I didn't watch it.
You did not watch it at all.
So it was a 1-year tradition that I'm now bringing back because we watched it in theaters. I loved it. I was having such a good time. I mean, I'm sure you saw it in my face. I was laughing. I wanted to sing along so bad, but I was in public. And I was just having a blast.
Dude, there was like a bunch of like little kids in the front with like a straight face, and then Nick in the middle, like
I was like crying, laughing. Yeah. And to be fair, the people sitting right behind us were also having a blast. They were so into it.
I think they were like high as God.
They were fueling my fire as a stone cold sober individual in the theater. But I wanted to ask you because it's a very short movie, so I'm sure we'll have enough time for plot. And production's a whole different
5 minutes.
But do you have any favorite Halloween traditions or favorite Halloween stories? Ooh. Anything that comes to mind to kind of set the tone for Matthew Pelton's Halloween childhood? Anything interesting at all come to mind? If not, I have a story and I'll give you time to noodle.
Fair. Well, okay, Halloween, we had more Christmas traditions, to be fair, than like Halloween.
Maybe not even traditions, but even like fun stories.
Yeah, that's
Mine's
fair.
Not a tradition, mine's just a funny,
The
wild story.
only two that come to mind, and the one story I can never do justice, because my dad is perfected how to tell that story.
Yeah.
But the one is, for most of our life, even at the age of like 14, 15, my dad would always try to get a costume that had a mask with it.
Okay.
So he could also trick or treat with us and pretend like he was a teenager.
Just a big kid.
Yeah, I think the last year he did, he was this big evil bunny. Just because he wanted candy. Like,
he
was not there because his kids.
Yeah, he's like 40.
He was there for the food, which I respected.
Yeah.
And then the other
That's
one,
awesome.
I don't know how much time we have, so I'll try to tell a condensed version of it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't me, it was my brother.
Okay.
He was little, like maybe like 3 or 4. And he was best friends with this one girl. I don't know her name, we'll call her like Abigail for sake of the show. So Halloween night,
actually Abigail.
Dude, she'd freak out if she's listening to this. She'd be like, oh. So Halloween night, my dad and my brother are like walking the streets, doing their thing, trick-or-treating. And all of a sudden, they see Abigail.
Yeah.
And she's dressed up like this little tiger.
Okay.
Or some sort of, or like a lion or something. Sure. So she runs up to my dad and goes, rawr, like a cute little kid.
Yeah.
And my dad just looks at him. He's like 6'4" at this point. He's a tall dude. So he towers above her.
He's like 7'8".
Oh, he shrunk. But at this point, he's like towered above her. and he looks down and goes, "Roar!" And dude, she just like screams, like, ah! And just starts crying, and she runs away.
I would do that as
he totally ruined her Halloween.
Yeah.
Like, just dude, like traumatized for the rest of her life.
I'm sure, much like this show, she'll come back with trauma surrounding that experience and like think of it fondly and tell that story fondly.
Probably that
and
one
just
scary
as a funny,
man who screamed at her during Halloween. Yeah,
I'm sure.
But again, I don't even know if I was born at that point. I don't know where I was,
fair.
but
that's fair.
I don't think I have any personal Matthew Pelton Halloween stories.
Okay,
I usually just crush it.
Yeah. Okay, fair. Yeah, fair enough. You got the costume. You got the pillowcase full of
we
candy.
knew the best spots to hit. We had all mapped out.
Yeah,
it was a whole system we had.
The one same. I was very on top of my game, and I think this also was either fueled by or eventually fueled how I went to Disney. Not to always bring it back to that, but I was always like the one person in my family that, even from when I was like 10, I like had a detailed itinerary of like, we're going here, then here, then here,
that's
then
how
here,
you have to do it.
Yeah, and I was like, well, then we have a window of 35 minutes for lunch, and if we don't do that, we're not eating. And then we go here, then here, and it was just like crazy. But the one year that this kind of broke was when I believe I was a freshman in high school. So this is kind of at the tail end of really going out trick-or-treating.
Tail end?
Yeah.
I'm still doing it.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. I'm saying like it started, I mean, I was 15 at that point.
Fair. Yeah.
But this was the year that I got my appendix taken out.
Ooh.
So I had surgery. This was, I believe, October 27th.
Was
I
your
had
surgery?
And I had 3 days. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 days of recovery. So October 30th, I was at home, and they were like, take it easy. And I was like, okay. And I actually recovered fairly quickly.
Let's say you're young.
Yeah. They only needed a few days. And I had my friends over. Shout out to Declan and Tucker. I love them to death.
What's up, Declan? What's up, Tucker?
Yeah. But so we were carving pumpkins just to like get in the mood because I couldn't really go anywhere. I was still like weirdly
like
incapacitated.
Almost,
yeah. And we were carving pumpkins. And I believe it was Tucker that was like, guys, I can't remember which one it was, but one of them was like, guys, we can't, do anything that will like affect Nick physically. We can't like, do anything, whatever. And then at one point we were joking around. It even hurt to laugh. And with them, I'm laughing just constantly. So it was like
more with me though.
Sure. So we were carving pumpkins. And at one point, someone makes a joke, and again, I'm going to throw Tucker under the bus. I love him, but he started laughing, and he like elbowed me right in the stomach, right where I had the stitches, and I just toppled over in pain. I was miserable. I was like, I was laughing because I was just like, this is insane. This even happened. But then whichever one didn't do it, again, I can't remember who was. But was like, no, because it was whoever was the one that was like, guys, we can't hurt Nick was the one that did it. And you were like, you idiot, how could you do this? And then the next night I went trick-or-treating.
You did?
Yeah, I was in agonizing pain, but I brought out my famous whoopee cushion costume. I think at that year it was still in its infancy. It was only in its like second or third year.
Fair. I haven't seen the whoopee cushion costume in a while.
I know it's been a minute.
Didn't have it
been a minute.
Year, yeah.
Well, because last year I was at Tonight Show, so I was.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I was.
Here. Yeah, I haven't seen it since sophomore year.
But yeah, I went out and I was in pain, and everyone I went up to, I was like trick or treat, and I was a warrior that night. It was crazy.
Dude, you have to. It's like the Halloween game.
I think I got the most amount of candy I've ever gotten in my life.
Did you tell people you were hurting? Like, did they give you extra?
No. I actually, weirdly, with the group I was with, I was the one running from house to house because it was the first time that I like felt decent enough to go out. And I was just so full of energy at that point. I was literally sprinting across the street from house to house. And at one point, I like stepped weird and it hurt my whole body. Oof. And I was like, ooh, I definitely shouldn't be doing this.
Take it easy.
Yeah. And then I spent like the next 4 days in recovery just pounding candy.
I will say, I'm so jealous because like from 8th grade on, trick-or-treating did not really exist for me because I went to boarding school.
Yeah,
I lived there, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like Storm
King,
King,
go from dorm to dorm.
Yeah, in a way. So like Storm King did a good job of doing Halloween stuff. Like they had a little haunted house in the gym.
Right.
And like you could go to like certain like the headmaster's house and they'll give you candy and like his wife would make donuts.
Yeah, that's sweet.
They did a really good job, but it wasn't like
sure.
The old school,
now having been to your school.
Yeah, it's so small. You see it. Yeah.
It's tough. I can imagine.
Yeah,
and also with the rules that you were telling me about how you couldn't leave and anything.
Well, yeah, it's like you have to get so much special permission to even leave campus. There's no trick or treating. Like you do it on campus.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not going anywhere.
But yeah, I just wanted to just generally. I thought that was a good little time.
Yeah,
and set the mood, set the tone for the episode.
Quick question, real quick, before we move on.
Time. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you say Halloween's your favorite holiday?
It's my favorite season. Fall is my favorite season.
Same.
Christmas is my favorite holiday, followed very closely by Halloween.
Okay, that's fair. I will say
that's my big take.
During fall, I say it's Halloween. and I'm like convinced. I'm like, Halloween is so my favorite. And then when winter hits, it's like, oh, it's so Christmas.
And
like, it just
easily
goes back and
Christmas.
forth all year.
It's easily Christmas is the best holiday.
I don't know. I love both.
But Halloween, like, just because fall isn't like winter and it's not like miserably
you
cold,
are, like
you can
Florida
still
boy.
go out. Yeah. And again, it's also different depending on, like, you like the cold, I don't. It's like, it depends. But yeah, I think fall and Halloween are definitely number one for season, but the actual holiday itself, I think
you do Christmas.
Yeah,
I flip flop. I love them both.
Yeah, because Christmas is all day, and then you also have Christmas Eve. I know you have like the Halloween Eve or whatever.
Yeah,
like
there's also
weird,
like Halloween weekend that a lot of college kids do.
Yeah, but it's like on
parties.
actually Halloween itself. It's not like no one is off. You're still working. You're still going to school. It's like at night, and if you're old enough, it's like a Tuesday night. You're like, well, what am I actually gonna do?
You know what I mean? Winter break when Christmas hits.
That's what I'm saying.
So
it's
nice.
like we don't have fall break. I know a lot of people do, but it's like
we don't
know. It's weird.
I see your point. I know what you mean.
All of that to say, I'm very, very excited to be here to talk about Nightmare Before Christmas. Obviously, because I love this movie. I love this holiday. I love this season. Let's talk production quickly.
Okay.
But by quickly, I mean half the episode.
Isn't this the most amount of notes you've ever had?
For production, I think ever.
It's
a crazy story and one that I'm super interested and passionate about because mainly a blank check. Because I got to hear a lot of their notes.
Because they're very good at research.
Super great. Their researcher is wonderful. But this movie famously, well, I guess less famously, depending on who you ask, is not directed by Tim Burton.
No,
even though it's Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, it's Henry Selick, isn't it?
It's Henry Selick.
Yeah.
So it's directed by Henry Selick, produced by Tim Burton, but it's based off a poem written by Burton like several years before.
Oh, that's why he gets his name on it.
Yes. So Burton wrote a poem that creates like the lore of the Pumpkin King and how he wants to like do this whole Christmas thing. Okay. But that's really it. It's like very broad. It's very vague. Yeah. And then Burton didn't want to direct it because he got too nervous around the sets of stop motion.
Is that why?
Well, that's part of it. And he didn't want his anxiety to cause him to destroy the set. That was one of the big reasons. The other big reason is because there were scheduling conflicts with Batman Returns.
That's what I thought. I remember hearing a story that was either Batman or this.
That's the main one. Is that's also the reason why he chose Batman is because he was like, I can't do stop motion. I'm too scared.
And I just did Batman. He knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Quick little history on Henry Selick and a little bit of history on Tim Burton. So Henry Selick went to Cal Arts. Now, Cal Arts has come up a little bit on this show before, but for those who don't know or don't remember, Cal Arts is basically a school that was, you'll never believe it, created by Walt Disney himself.
This was
a college that was created by Disney to basically nurture animators
future Disney
into
animators,
working for Disney.
It's a little scary when you put it like that.
It's so scary, especially by the time like when it was actually created, the college.
Yeah,
it's very like culty. It's like you go here to work as an animator for me, and that's it. That's
really
your life.
Weird.
It's insane.
Like, of course, that was Walt Disney.
Right.
That's not surprising.
I'm not surprised at all. But now it's like one of the main. It's still like the main Disney animation school. If you want to work for Pixar, if you want to work for Disney, to this day, 2023, Cal Arts is the place to be.
Wow.
That's it.
Huh.
I mean, for the most part, but you know what I'm saying. But that's where he met Tim Burton, Henry Selick.
Yes.
So they met in college at Cal Arts, and he left. They both ended up working for Disney. Selick left after Fox and the Hound, which seemed like Fox and the Hound was kind of the last movie for a lot of this generation.
I was supposed to say that's not the first time you said that to me about someone. I don't think it was Henry Selick, but
I think we'll get into Burton.
Okay, because I know he also left Disney eventually too.
Yeah,
and then it's weird.
We'll get to
he
it.
has a weird history with Disney.
But so he left after Fox and the Hound, and Nightmare is seemingly I couldn't exactly find exactly, but it seems like it was his directorial debut, his feature directorial debut.
Okay,
obviously he did a lot in animation.
Yeah,
he directed a lot of shorts, but
in
nothing.
Like directing a film, like a feature film. This is his first one.
So it was given to him, and that's kind of where we are.
Okay,
now going on to Burton, went to Cal Arts.
Yes,
met Henry Selick. Worked for Disney as an animator, which a lot of people don't know. That's where he got his start.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he got fired or he left.
He got fired.
He got fired?
Yeah, okay. So he made a stop motion short called Vincent that led him to his next film, which was Frankenweenie. Not the Frankenweenie that you're thinking of.
Okay.
It's a live action, basically the same thing, but it was live
action.
Just
live action?
And that movie caused him to get fired.
Oh.
Because Disney said that he was using their resources to make a film that was too scary for kids to watch.
Which is not surprising saying that to Tim Burton.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean?
Obviously, his career going on is a
you got
very
Edward
specific.
Scissorhands, Beetlejuice.
Exactly. He's a very stylistic filmmaker,
Yeah.
and it's all exactly the same. But
It's not a very Disney
he's a vision.
vibe.
No, not at all. And then he moved on from Disney after he got fired to make Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which, by the way, had no idea that was Tim Burton.
Isn't that his first big one, right?
Yes.
I did know that.
That's the one that kind of broke him into the industry. And it's also because Paul Rubin really liked Frankenweenie. Like, he was a big fan, and that's why he was like, I want you to direct
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. And the rest is history. Now, Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was Walt Disney's chairman at the time, very famous guy, very famously nitpicky.
Okay, got it.
He was interested down the line, obviously, in signing a development deal for Nightmare Before Christmas with Burton after seeing his success as a live-action filmmaker.
Oh.
And that's kind of how, Disney gets the rights back. They start working with Burton again. Burton passes it off to Selick. It's still Burton's idea. He's producing, Selick's directing. That's kind of where we're at, generally.
Now, when you say he's producing, do we know how much involvement he actually had?
Probably not a ton.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause he's doing Batman Returns, which I'm assuming is a full demanding job.
Right.
And also, like...
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
It's
Batman
Disney is
is
different.
huge.
It's the second Batman movie. That's no joke. So
I'm sure he was as hands-on one could be while also directing a Batman movie.
Right?
And also not wanting to be on set.
Yeah.
Like, he violently didn't want to be a part of this, but
like,
was like, I want my name to be all over this.
He wanted his name, but he didn't really do any of the work at all.
Exactly.
Like, I feel bad for Henry Selick because, like, I think us film people know.
Yeah.
If you ask any casual moviegoer, hey, who made Nightmare Before Christmas? Tim Burton's name's right there.
Yeah.
Like,
even prior to the Nightmare Before Christmas blank check episode, I thought it was Tim Burton.
oh, really?
This was, to be fair, this came out like however many years ago, but
I mean, it's before we were born, this movie.
Yeah. But like my whole life, I always thought it was Burton until like literally the past 2 years, and I was like, oh,
wow.
Yeah,
I knew. I think I found out. Oh, it seems like we would discover some big secret. When I found out, I think it was like high school.
I mean, it is pretty big.
Well, yeah, because again, it says it's literally called Tim Burton's. But he doesn't. The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Shoot,
nice save. It's almost like, you know how Halloween is. It's basically called John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah.
The poster says it. It's like if that wasn't John Carpenter at all.
I was gonna say he did the score, he did the cinematography, he did the directing, he did every single thing.
Yeah.
Basically acted in it, and like he just did everything.
Basically did the entire movie himself. It's crazy.
Edited like everything.
And this one he did like basically. Now he made a poem.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
I feel bad. I feel so bad.
It should be Henry Selick's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Or just The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Or just The Nightmare Before Christmas.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does kind of stink that it's like, it very much emphasizes the name.
Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
yeah, it's very true.
I don't know. It's
now it's like if it was just Nightmare Before Christmas, you'd be like, who directed it? But because it says Tim Burton's,
right?
You are immediately like, you don't have to look it up.
It's
a Tim Burton movie.
Again, Guillermo del Toro. You're like, it's his movie.
It's Guillermo del Toro's movie.
Carpenter. Yeah. And Tim Burton's a very famous director, so you'd think, and it's also like very much his style.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really depart from his filmmaking. He's a director, like you'd think. So
especially during this era, because again, like Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, Batman Return, all this stuff
feel exactly the same. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a huge hit when Pee-wee came out.
Right.
So yeah, you see Tim Burton, that's an immediate sell.
Right.
So yeah, Henry Selick got scammed. He got robbed.
Right.
It's messed up.
Yeah. The screenplay of this movie was written by Caroline Thompson.
Who is that?
She was the writer of Edward Scissorhands, The Addams Family, and Corpse Bride, and was also dating Danny Elfman at the time they approached her to write it.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a weird little in. It's Danny Elfman's girlfriend. We'll get to Danny Elfman in a second. But
he did the music, correct?
He did the music. He did the music, but
I know.
There's a little more.
Yeah.
But an interesting thing that I can't remember if it was in my own research or if I'd heard it on Blank Check, but apparently they started developing this with Elfman like Caroline Thompson was brought in late in the pre-production because they basically were like, let's write all the music and then we'll kind of write a script around it, but the whole movie's music. So they wrote all the music, and then they were like, how can we make little 1 minute scenes to mesh them all together?
And
then she came in and just wrote the rest of it. But it's like, yeah, I mean, she came in, she did what she had to do, but to me, it sounded like they kind of brought her in when they already had everything planned, and they were just like,
pretty much all done.
Make little sequences that merge these songs together.
Okay.
So I don't know. But good for her.
Kind of a weird.
She's great.
You know,
yeah, we love her. Had an $18 million budget. And at the time, because cult classic, grossed $50 million, which is not a lot.
But
then
enough.
it made so much money in home release, merchandising. It's one of Disney's most profitable IPs. For the time, I mean. Because obviously
Seriously?
you have like Lion King, you have all the huge. Aside from those, it's like it is one of the most recognizable characters
for sure,
and like be one of the most sold merchandise like of any franchise.
Really. The merchandise is insane, especially considering it's a one movie, hour 15.
Yeah,
that came out in the 90s. It's out of control.
It is insane, especially because it didn't gross a lot. Like when
originally, I guess it was kind of a sleeper hit.
Yeah, and it eventually became a cult classic, much like The Room. We love The Room. Anyway,
very different quality.
Very different
movies,
quality,
to be fair. But.
And because of the nature of the film, it was not produced weirdly under Disney's name. But rather the Disney-owned Touchstone Pictures. And Burton later worked with Disney again and again, mending his relationships, all that stuff. But so when it was released, it didn't have the Disney logo. When we watched it in theaters, it had the full Disney logo. So I was like,
you were freaking out.
I love it. I was freaking out. I was having a great time. But when it was initially released, it just had Touchstone. Disney was like, we're not going to put our family-friendly logo in front of it.
Because this is the kind of dark Tim Burton thing.
Exactly. And then later, when it became so successful, they're like, but that's ours. Let's put it in. This is a Disney movie. It always has been.
Crawling back.
Yeah. And I don't even think I saw the Touchstone logo at all yesterday.
No,
like
did not play.
And I rewatched it, parts of it on Disney Plus, and
was it on there either?
I don't think so.
I think they fully made it just a Disney.
They were
thing.
just like, it's Disney. It was always.
It's just such a big IP. I think they just fully took it over.
Right. It's like when they re-edit like racist things out of movies, and they're like, no, it was like that the whole time.
What do you mean?
We're not racist. What are you talking about?
We would never do that. Is Touchstone still around?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I feel like I haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, most of Disney stuff now is Disney proper, also because their company's just been tanking the past 3 years. So they're just like, let's just make sequels to all of our big animated movies. Let's not put any creativity into anything. But I don't actually know. Did you find it?
I did. Okay, you ready? I'm going to read
around.
This is what Wikipedia said.
Yeah.
I feel like Nick. Following the release of The Light Between Oceans, no idea what that is.
Great, I love that movie.
The final film of the DreamWorks deal, Touchstone Pictures went defunct in 2018.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they went defunct.
There's a lot. Like, remember Disney Toons, the one that did all the sequels to all the Disney movies?
That's gone too.
Yeah. There's a lot of Disney sub-corporations that are gone
have just
now.
been completely debunked.
Yeah. Okay, talking about Danny Elfman now. He famously wrote the music for the film, which this music goes crazy. I love it so much. That's one of the reasons why I love it so much. But we'll get to that. And he's the singing voice for Jack Skellington.
I knew, but not the real voice.
The real voice.
Yeah.
A guy by the name of Chris Sarandon? I think. Chris Sarandon. Yeah.
Okay.
He provided the speaking voice with Jack, and Danny Elfman hated this so much. Apparently, he got into like a verbal argument, like a blowout argument with, I think it was either Selleck or Burton. And he was screaming at them and then wouldn't talk to them for the entire production because he was so mad.
Does he hate the voice?
Yes.
Does he want to do it or
he wanted to do it? Well, because he was like I'm already doing the singing voice, which is 90% of this movie.
Yeah.
Why can't I also do the other 3 minutes of speaking? Because they also sound almost exactly the same. It's hard to tell.
It's actually okay.
It's
funny that this happened because I was gonna say this to when we started going into plot, but I'll just give a little now. Is his voice? It's very much like a double-edged sword for me. Yeah. Because you have those moments where I knew Danny Elfman did the song and not the speaking.
Yeah.
So when we watched it yesterday, I was looking for that.
Same.
And they're identical.
Oh, exactly.
You cannot tell.
No, not at all.
The fact they found someone that sounds just like Danny Elfman would be when he speaks is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I do think the voice, not as much as the singing, because that's a little more forgivable, because it's Danny Elfman, whatever, but the voice, when you look at the design, especially of the Pumpkin King, Jack Skellington, it's a little too soft, I think.
The speaking voice.
The speaking voice.
Yeah, sure.
For me, he has such a demanding look, and he's the big man in charge. Yeah. And he almost reminds me of Matthew Broderick in The Lion King.
I thought you were going to say Matthew Pelton. I was like, are you kidding me right now?
But I feel the voice, I don't know, he just sounded not like a little kid, but it was not as cool of a voice as he should have.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
And it's totally reasonable for, maybe not for an argument that breaks up an entire relationship. Because obviously Elfman worked with Burton for the rest of his
forever.
Career. But at the time, it was I get where he was coming from. Because he was I'm already doing all this. I'm writing all the music. I'm singing. Why can't I just be the guy? Like, why does someone else have to be the
and
guy?
not that the guy they got did a bad. I think he did a good job.
He did a wonderful job.
He did great.
Yeah, good for
him. But
him.
maybe Danny Elfman would have like a cooler voice if he was allowed to.
And also,
do it.
like, it's sad because even though they did this guy that did the voice, to my knowledge, is not famous. Like, I had no idea who he is.
Yeah.
I know I can't pronounce most of the names on the show, but I couldn't even, like, I don't even know who this guy is. You know what I mean?
So I will say, it's one of those things where people probably think of Tim Burton as Night Before Christmas.
Right.
And I think they think Danny Elfman is Jack Skellington, if they even know that.
Poor guy.
And if they really know what they're talking about, they know, oh, he's saying and someone else did the voice.
Right. No idea.
That's what I know.
Exactly.
Some other dude talked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's wild, but
yeah, it's weird. I feel like they should have let Dan Elfman at least try.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of curious to see what that would have sounded like. You know what I mean?
Right. To kind of round out production notes, it took 120 workers in 20 sound stages to produce the 109,440 frames that make up this movie.
Jesus.
Because again, stop motion.
Yeah, it's not.
And Jack had over 400 heads that were produced for him.
Oh, really?
Physical, yeah. And they were all used to show all of his expressions. Now, to put it in more relevant terms, Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, is the thing that fixed this problem. They worked with like a watch company to create the Pinocchio like doll, like a character for the stop motion, where they could touch the face and like physically move the face and like morph it to however they want.
They didn't have to make like 400
this movie,
of
they
them.
had to make every single individual head for every single tiny little movement
that's awful.
of his face, and then they just replaced it.
So even him blinking is probably like 6 to 9 different heads.
Yeah, different heads. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This movie was nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars, which is the first animated film to do so, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
And apparently one of the major and only conflicts that Burton and Selleck had was when Selleck thought that the ending of the film should have been a Scooby-Doo-esque reveal that Oogie Boogie was actually Dr. Finkelstein. And apparently Burton and Selleck fought so hard about this that Burton ruined an editing bay over it. Yeah, he got so mad that he's destroyed an editing console. And they point this out in Blank Check. I fully agree with Burton. I like the ending as it is. I don't think that they should have done like a big reveal.
I think I agree with Burton too.
Yeah.
I said when you just pitched that, I was like, oh no, I wouldn't like that at all.
Quickly, I know that's the end of my production notes.
Yeah.
Do you have something?
We
talked about
very
this
small
as you were leaving the theater because I went back for another 3.5-hour movie after this.
You did.
Yeah, I was there all night. But go ahead whenever you're ready.
So here was my train of thought with this.
Yeah.
Because as listeners of the show know, I never do research. I let Nick do all the work, and then I just make my funny little jokes, and then we win an Emmy.
Which are great.
Yeah, no problem. So, but when I first left, I was like, there's obviously so much potential for a sequel, the way it's set up. You have all the trees of the different holidays, and most of them are never opened in the movie. Like, the sequel can almost write itself. It's so obvious. Like, Jack Skellington goes to Thanksgiving, And Disney's famous for doing the DVD sequels, and it's such a big IP. Why has there never been a sequel to this thing?
Right.
So I looked it up.
Yeah.
Here's what I have.
Love it.
I know when I said I was going to do this, you were like, I think they just announced one.
Right.
Not true.
Okay, then I must have, maybe that was for something else.
To be fair, I think because it's around spooky season, I saw a lot of recent articles that are like very speculative.
Oh,
but it seems like once a year, the rumor mill starts.
Just bring it back.
Yeah, they're like, hey, the second one might be coming.
Watch the first one so you could see the second one.
Exactly. So here's what I found. I found something that Tim Burton said and something that Henry Selick said himself.
Yeah.
Is Tim Burton, if you look at his career, he very famously hates sequels.
Yes.
He's almost never done it.
Right.
The only exceptions are Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And the only now in development Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah.
Which is still filming.
You could argue Dumbo, but the first one wasn't his.
First one wasn't his. That's more of like a remake. I know it's like
sure.
technically a sequel.
Anyways.
But he never does sequels to his own thing.
Yes.
He's very protective of his IPs. He thinks it's a little cash grabby. He never sees the point. So it's very rare. So I think in this case, he said like, yeah, the sequel is like pretty obvious what it would be. He's like, I just have no interest.
Yeah.
He's like, I like it as its little own thing. So he's very out.
Great. Much like Jerry Seinfeld in B-Movie.
Sure. Then someone recently asked Henry Selick as well, and sure enough, he gave kind of a different answer, which I think is very interesting. Is he said it's actually been in talks a lot, especially somewhat recently.
Oh.
But here's the problem.
Yeah.
Is Henry's like, there's been a lot of cool stories passed around, and he's been on board. He's like, I would love to do the second one.
Right.
But the problem is, he was like, again, this is all according to him. I couldn't find a second source. It's just him that says this. But he was like, the biggest problem I keep running into is Disney, where Disney wants to do it.
Yeah.
But they say the only way we'll do it is if it's CGI.
Oh,
They don't want to
why?
make it stop motion.
Why?
No idea.
Pinocchio is like the perfect example of why you should be doing it.
But I mean, think about the last Disney stop animation movie.
Yeah.
What was it?
That one.
That one.
It was, and they wanted nothing to do with it. They were like,
hated
Touchstone.
it. Touchstone did it. So I think Disney is so anti-stop motion that
makes sense.
Henry's like, well, I'm not going to do it if you're going to do CG.
Yeah, good. Don't.
Yeah, he's kind of standing his ground a little bit.
Honestly, I'm glad. I love when filmmakers are like, let's just keep it as its own thing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
I thought that Joker was going to be this way. And then they were like, let's make it a second one and a musical.
Which, like
why?
We'll wait and see how that turns out.
Yeah.
But, like,
it's insane.
Again, it probably should have been. There's so many movies that should have been their own thing, and then they end up doing sequels. It is kind of cool that this is its own thing. Mm-hmm. Part of me does kind of want to see another one.
No, I agree.
Know what I mean?
I agree.
But it has to be the original crew.
But that's the thing is, like, if it's not done well.
If it's not stop motion, then don't do it.
Like, the newest Indiana Jones, I don't even consider to be a part of the franchise. Like, I can't. It's just like, if it's bad, I'm like, I don't want it. But if it's good, then I'm like, give me it.
Bring it.
Which is like the most obvious answer. Like, I know that's not anything groundbreaking. Obviously, if you want a second one, you want it to be good.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm sure Disney will, throw in the towel and be like, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm about to say, I'm sure one day they'll cave and like we'll do it stop motion.
Because they want money. So I'm sure.
Especially if like Burton's on board and he's like, I'll only do it if it's stop motion. Then they'll probably do it.
Right. Now, because it's such a cult classic, like everyone's going to go see it.
1,000%.
The second one, especially this long after. It's going to be a hit.
It's such a big hit. It's back in the AMC.
Right. And it's like basically not selling out. But like it's selling a good amount of tickets. Yeah.
It made over the weekend it broke the top 10 for box office. I think it made like $5 million.
That's insane.
Yeah, it did financially huge.
That's wild.
For a 30-year-old
after,
movie. Yeah, $5 million. Isn't that crazy?
I can never imagine that. Okay.
So yeah, it seems like if you get Burton back on board, Disney will probably agree to do stop motion.
Yeah.
It could happen. But it's been around the rumor mill for years now.
Got it.
I don't know. We'll see.
Anyways, all that to say, yeah, that's it for production. It's a crazy story. And one
cool
that if you want to hear a much longer, much more in-depth, and probably more accurate account, go listen to the Blank Check episode.
We love them so much.
I can't recommend it enough. We love the guys over there. Okay, getting into plot of this movie. It's a very short movie. Again, 72 minutes, an hour and 12. It's not long whatsoever. And it doesn't feel very long because it's like one song, and that song's like 5 minutes long, and then it's like the next song. There's not much. But we open with the Disney logo, which, again, not there originally, and a narrator introducing us to Halloween Town. Now, we go directly into the song This is Halloween, very famous.
Yes.
Introducing us to the ghouls and creatures that make up this town, including Jack, the Pumpkin King. We love it.
Dude, when this song hit, it's October.
Yes.
We're in the theater. I was like, it's
best.
so Halloween.
I was so worried that you were just going to come in here and rip this movie apart because we watched it together. So at the end, your one note was like, I wish we could talk about it right now. And I was like, he hated it. And I was like, no.
I'll wait. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. This opening song was so good.
Amazing.
And you know what's weird about it? Is so many times I played this song, especially in the month of spooky season.
Yeah.
I'll play it in the car with like my friends.
Right.
And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you have the visuals with it.
Stop motion. It's all the different characters. They all have their own little stories. Like, you just get the whole vibe of the entire town.
Yeah, like this is what Halloween feels like.
Exactly.
This opening 5 minutes. Like if you
This is Halloween.
if some like country that doesn't celebrate Halloween, they're like, give me 5 minutes and explain it. I would just show this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And they rejoice after the song is over as they had the worst Halloween to date, which is a good thing. And everyone praises Jack for being the greatest scarer there ever was.
You mean the Pumpkin King?
He's the Pumpkin King. And now Sally, the creation of Dr. Finkelstein, which is like an evil, he's like a Frankenstein guy. I just realized the correlation of the names. Never mind.
You just realized that?
Yeah, I just realized that.
He makes her, she looks like Frankenstein.
I'm fully aware. I just didn't realize that Finkelstein and Frankenstein sounded so similar.
They even have an Igor in this movie.
No, I know. Yeah, I just never, I don't know. But she like longs for Jack. And this is one of my main issues with the movie. She has no character development whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true.
And her only purpose in this movie is to just like be in love with Jack, and that's it. I'm so upset about
She's like the I told you so character.
Yeah,
true. She's the only one she's like the voice of reason, but she does nothing else besides that. Besides like, I want to bang Jack and hey, don't do this Christmas thing.
Right, exactly. That's it.
Very one note.
Sad.
Yeah, that's
true. So sad. And she doesn't like the doctor because he's very controlling of her. And she's a very restless girl, and she wants to go out and explore the world,
hang out with Jack.
More. Yeah, exactly. Hang out with her lover.
Who wouldn't? Pumpkin King,
exactly.
baby.
And Jack sings about how he longs for something more, and he's just violently depressed because he has to do the same routine every year.
Is that enough?
And he basically openly admits in the song that he's easily the best there ever was, and no one can beat him, and he's the coolest ever, and he wants more, and that's it. It's like a classic Disney "I Want" song, but he's like, no, I know I'm the guy.
Yeah,
but
he's like,
give
I'm
me more.
fully aware.
Yeah, it's not like Little Mermaid where she's like, I'm this little girl and I want something more. He's like, no, I'm the king of Halloween.
I rock at this.
What's next?
Exactly.
Yeah.
What else is there to conquer?
Right.
Though also, okay, quick question.
Yeah.
Though, because I'm not sure the movie ever addresses it, but you're a pretty Disney guy. So you're like, if anyone would know, it'd be Nick.
Right.
Is he the Pumpkin King, or is that a title that's passed on to people? Have there been other Pumpkin Kings besides
I have no
him?
idea.
Cool. Okay.
But it's interesting to know that there's also a mayor of the town.
Yeah.
But Jack is the king.
He's the king. Two very different figures here.
Yeah. Anyways, I have no idea.
Interesting.
But Jack goes on a walk into the woods and finds himself in the circle of trees with all the doors to all the towns. And he falls into the Christmas town, which weirdly, there's like this moment where it's like a spiral, and then he's like falling. He's like, whoa,
oh yeah,
whoa.
Yeah.
That's almost exactly like one of the scenes in. You're not gonna get this reference, but it's one of the Cat in the Hat rides at Universal.
Nope.
Scariest ride to date. If we ever go together, I will show you. I'm terrified of that thing. But it's exactly the same. It's literally the Cat in the Hat in like a little spiral, and he's going,
oh,
whoa,
really?
whoa. It's exactly the same. When I saw that, I almost turned to you and was like, and I couldn't say anything, so I knew you wouldn't get
what
it.
you're talking about.
I have to like pull out my phone and it's whatever.
No, so I have a question about these trees as well.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I've paused you every sentence
please,
at this point. But if he ends up in the forest with all the trees, I'm assuming one of the trees is a Halloween tree.
Yeah.
And then if it is, how did he get there?
No, I have the same exact question.
Yeah, when you think about the logic of the
sense.
trees and you're like,
If
wait,
you just keep
where does the real
walking-
world exist?
Exactly.
Like, it breaks your mind.
Right.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't at all.
And I didn't, to be fair, in the movie's like defense, I did not think about that when I was watching it.
Right.
It was only like when I was thinking about it, like after I was like, wait.
I
I
thought about it
oh, you
immediately.
did?
I was like, how does this work?
The world just fully breaks,
Yeah.
and they never address
Also,
it.
is he aware of the door to Halloween Town?
I have no idea.
Is he like, what's this? I'm just
I
kidding.
don't.
We'll get to that.
Does that mean he was in the Halloween world, somehow left and entered the real world? If the trees are in the real world,
I guess.
if they are, does that mean everybody comes out of the trees?
I don't know.
It makes no sense.
This is the one part where I'm like, this doesn't add up.
Yeah, it's something.
I mean, the whole movie, but
Well, yeah. It's so short. They never take the time to explain. You're like, wait.
There's a lot they don't get.
Go
into.
back.
Yeah. And then we get into the "What's This" song that I just referenced, the best song, as Jack is discovering everything wonderful about Christmas, and he sees the Sandy Claus is the leader of it all.
Yeah.
He just sees him in shadow. He's the scary guy. And then back in Halloween Town, the Halloween townspeople, they freak out because their king is missing.
They think Jack's dead.
They literally think he's dead.
He's been gone for less than a day. Where is he?
I think it's still Halloween at this point. They're like, he died.
He's dead. He's dead.
And
Pumpkin King.
Yeah. And Sally poisons Dr. Finkelstein to escape the house for a while. Now,
Yeah, for like the fourth time she does.
Right. Jack arrives back in Halloween Town, and he calls for an immediate town meeting to discuss what he has witnessed. And he tells everyone of Christmas's glory, and no one really fully understands it.
No.
So he curates it to their taste by making it a bit scary. Because he's like, I'm trying to explain what snow is, but they don't get it, so I'm going to be like, it's like poison, but better.
It's like he stuff like that.
Goes into explaining
you open them and it spooks you.
Exactly. So they kind of get this twisted idea of what Christmas is.
Which will also, I'll save it for later.
Sure. And Jack starts experimenting with items from Christmas Town and reading all there is to know about Christmas to try and figure out what it means and to master it. Because again, he is longing for something more. He wants to be the king of something else. Exactly. He's just the guy. And,
he is the guy.
Right. And eventually Sally gets, captured again by Dr. Finkelstein. And then she just throws herself out a window.
Because she can.
Yeah. And she stitches herself back together and goes to deliver Jack something that could help him with his discoveries. I can't remember what the actual item was. I think it's just like a little potion or something.
Yeah, something. I don't remember.
And then she immediately has a vision that Jack's Christmas will be a disaster.
Yeah.
She sees like a tree and it's on fire.
Here comes like the voice of reason.
Exactly. And another song showing how Jack is trying to figure out what the spirit of Christmas is and can't figure it out until he looks at a picture of himself and sees himself as Santa, and he realizes that he can take over Christmas. It's going to be his.
He's the guy.
He is Santa Claus. And he tells the townspeople and gives them all their assignments, with Dr. Finkelstein being the head of the pack because he's the one who's making him the reindeer out of skeletons, which is crazy. Lock, Shock, and Barrel come in, which I forgot that they were in this movie.
The little kids, right?
Yeah, the little kids, which are Oogie Boogie's kids, yeah.
What I call them Oogie Boogie?
Oogie
Oogie Boogie.
And they're given a secret task, which we later find out is to kidnap Santa because Jack is going to take his place this year.
Yeah.
And finally, I mean, obviously the rest of the townspeople get their tasks, but these are the main ones. And Sally is given the task to make Jack's Santa outfit, and then she warns him for the first time about her vision. Now, Lock, Shock, and Barrel are a couple of crazy kids because they come back having kidnapped the Easter Bunny.
So, again, logic's is out the door of these doors.
It's a hop crossover, I'm convinced.
Dude, that was Russell Brand,
this is the
actually.
Dad. Yeah. They do it on accident, and then Making Christmas starts playing, which I forgot how many bangers there are in this movie.
It is Danny Elfman. He gets major credit.
It's incredible. Yeah. And Making Christmas plays as we see Halloween Town go to work on their vision of Christmas, which is just making it extra spooky.
Yeah. That's all they know.
Yeah. Jack is fitted for his Santa outfit once Sally is done. And also, just really quick, if it sounds like I'm rushing through this, it's because this movie is literally an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is how the movie plays.
It is just how it just jumps from one thing to the next. So I apologize.
That's fair.
And Santa himself is brought to Jack by Lock, Shock, and Barrel. And he steals Santa's hat and then tells the kids to take Santa to a safe space, which they automatically are like, let's take him to Oogie Boogie.
Oogie Boogie.
Yeah, Oogie Boogie. And then Oogie Boogie's song plays.
Okay.
And this is the part where I started freaking out because my favorite character in this whole movie is Oogie Boogie. I love this song.
I know
I've heard so many iterations of this song. I was losing my mind.
And okay. Here's where the movie starts to take kind of a turning point for me.
Okay.
Is one at this point, and it was only
it does get crazy.
It does get crazy. From this point on, it's especially by the end, I was so validated in this. I was like, okay, I know it's kind of argued both ways. Is this a Halloween movie or is this a Christmas movie? It's often in discussion of when do you watch this?
Right.
In my opinion, after watching it yesterday, I think it's very much more Christmas than Halloween.
Oh, 1,000%.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And because of maybe I didn't fully remember that from my first time watching it.
Right.
And I was so excited for hey, we're doing Halloween episodes, spooky season. Mm-hmm. I was a little like, oh, I'm just watching a Christmas movie. I was a little disappointed. I thought it was an equal balance.
Right.
The first 5 minutes are Halloween.
Sure.
And the rest of the movie's Christmas.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So I was kind of let down because I kept waiting for it to turn back into Halloween. It never quite got there.
No, because even at the end it snows.
Yeah, it snows. It's very much a Christmas movie.
Right.
And also, okay, so that was kind of one note where this movie kind of takes a turn where I realized I'm like, oh, this is just not what I was expecting. And also, okay, how do you pronounce his name? Oogie Boogie?
Oogie Boogie.
Oogie Boogie?
Yeah.
Okay, so Oogie Boogie.
Ogre Booger.
Why is he a gambler?
I don't know.
Strange.
I have no idea. Because he's just like a sack that's full of bugs, and he gambles. And that's his whole thing.
It's the strangest, main
he has a
villain
paradise
I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I was so baffled because I forgot that about him. I remember he was the big sack.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of his look either. I feel like he could look way cooler.
I've seen better versions of it where Disney will do the fireworks and he'll be animated and it looks so cool.
And it looks cool. But him as a shadow looks cool too in the beginning.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's
animation. It looks so cool.
The stop motion is a little freaky.
Yeah, it's just him as a bag. I'm like, that's it. It's just a bag.
Right.
And he's just weirdly into gambling and stuff. I was like, I don't think I'm into this really.
It's insane.
I was not into Oogie Boogie. I know you love him, but I was like, I think I'm out of Oogie Boogie.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jack is still ignoring Sally's warnings. So she puts fog juice or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Into the water, and it makes it foggy right before Jack takes off in his sleigh. And enter Zero. Zero comes in. He's his little dog.
The day.
He has his little
I love
nose.
Zero.
Yeah,
Zero's my man.
This is the best.
Best character in the whole movie.
And Sally sings her one song about how she is worried about Jack and his decisions and just wants to be Jack's girl. She deserves better. That's the one note I put. She deserves better.
She does.
And Jack delivers.
That should be the new movie's her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's what
I'm saying. And Jack delivers gifts to kids at the start of the night and puts all the gifts. All the gifts are scary Halloween things, and that causes mass hysteria.
Yes.
And parents start calling the cops. And there are enough calls in the town that warrant announcements on the news, and the military is deployed to gun down Jack and his reindeer.
This really happens.
I fully forgot about this
too.
In the movie. I don't think I'll ever remember
It's just 1 minute.
It is.
The army's here, they shoot him down, then it's never touched upon again.
Yeah. And yes, the military blows Jack out of the sky, and the Halloween townspeople think that he died because they can see everything going on in a cauldron of sorts.
Yeah.
And Sally goes to save Santa at Oogie Boogie's place by untying her leg and seducing Oogie, while the rest of her quietly unties Santa and starts to break him out via ladder. And then Oogie takes her shoe off and tickles her foot, and it like turns him on. Long. It's so strange.
So I know you're into Oogie Boogie.
No,
but
I didn't like this part.
Dude, come on, this thing's weird.
Had everyone in the theaters dying laughing. And then Oogie like weirdly becomes a vacuum and captures both of them.
Sure.
He just like starts sucking air, and they just
not?
get ripped off of the ladder that's gonna help him escape. But then, yay, Jack is alive. He, face planted and also like exploded.
He exploded.
And then, and then we realize Jack is alive, and he sings about how he ruined everything. But he also sings in that same song that people shouldn't be mad at him because he's awesome and the best and just tried something new and did his absolute best. He's like, yeah, but you guys shouldn't be mad. I'm the guy.
I'm the Pumpkin King, dude.
And then is excited to be the Pumpkin King and to make the next Halloween the best ever.
He's back.
He also realizes that there's still time to save Christmas with Santa Claus. And then that leads to Jack sneaking into Oogie's lair. And Oogie's weirdly like scared of Jack. I don't really know why. I guess because he's the Pumpkin King.
He sounds like a little kid though. I don't know why he's so scared of him. But
it's like a Scar, Simba kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. Or Mufasa, sorry. And yeah, Jack sneaks into Oogie's lair, saves Santa and Sally from being killed, fights off Oogie, and eventually unravels his skin, which is like a sack. He like puts it in like a bunch of worms and then he's like a bunch of bugs.
Yeah.
And they all fall into lava and he dies.
Dude, Jack Skellington kills him.
Yeah, just immediately. It's like their one interaction.
It was such a great moment because he's like, you know what? I am the Pumpkin King. I'm back. 2 minutes later, murder someone. I was like, Jesus.
And Jack apologizes to Santa, who tells Jack Sally was right the whole time, and magically flies to Earth and saves Christmas. I remember we turned to each other and started laughing.
He didn't go through a tree or anything.
No,
he just flew up and
he just touched his nose, and then he just rocketed up into the air.
Cocaine and rocketed it up. It was crazy.
And everyone in Halloween Town rejoices that Jack is alive, and it starts to snow there. And people realize the beauty of snow like Jack did when he first visited Christmas Town. Jack and Sally then end the movie by singing about how they're now in love and all is well in the world. And that is the Nightmare Before Christmas. Now talk to me. What are your final thoughts?
Okay, so I'll be so real.
Everyone knows how I feel.
Yeah, I know you've worshipped this movie. You want to watch it once a year. I'll be so honest. I was so let down.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not too surprised.
Now again, I think the stop motion is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the vibe of this movie is so good.
Yeah.
It like oozes Halloween when it's doing the Halloween thing. It even gets Christmas right. Like it looks so good.
Right.
But I think the voice kind of throws me off a little bit, to be honest. And I think even like his design, his default face, his smile's too big.
Sure.
He looks like too not goofy.
Yeah.
But there's just something about that doesn't scream, that's the guy.
Right.
I only think that because he says it so many times.
Yeah. He's the Pumpkin King.
He's the Pumpkin King. So he kind of lets me down a little bit. And then it's mostly a Christmas movie, which I was really hoping it would be more spooky.
Sure.
It's like the Tim Burton thing. It's mostly Christmas, and then the logic kind of doesn't make sense when you think about it. And the main villain's kind of goofy with the gambling and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, it didn't quite come together. I was a little let down.
Fair. All of the things that you just said are reasons I love this movie. And also every single song in this movie, I went through again because I wanted to see if I was wrong about this. Every single one was a banger.
No,
there was not one song that let me down.
That's true.
And
the songs
almost
are great.
all of the movie is song.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is amazing. The visuals are incredible.
Yeah,
the only problem I had with the movie was Sally deserved better, which I've said.
Yeah.
And I wish that Oogie Boogie had more of a presence in the movie. Because he's kind of set up in like shadow, but it's like one shot.
It's one.
And then he's there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and if you don't know the character, you don't even know that's set up.
Exactly.
Like you just think it's some cool shadow.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
And I'm like, I just love Oogie so much that I wish that they had more into it. I think if this movie was an hour 45, they could develop Sally a little bit more, develop Oogie Boogie a little bit more, and it would still be just as good.
Yeah, I think we kind of agree. Like all the pieces are there.
I agree.
It just
I just love it from front.
I know you still love it.
There's a weird magic where I'm like I could see past the short run time, and
yeah, that's fair.
I just put it all together. Anyways, final thought on The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I can't believe this got greenlit.
Genuinely, this is insane.
Spooky edition.
Spooky edition. Thank you for tuning in to our very special edition of I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit, the Halloween edition.
And hey, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everyone. I hope you enjoy. Stay safe. We love you all.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky. Tune in next week for The Emperor's New Groove, with special guest Lily Larrabee. We are so excited to have her on the show. More Alone Again people. Stay tuned for that. So excited to talk about that. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.